from polarity, when we try to create from duality, when we try to create from trying and hoping and praying and wishing, that is not the state of being that produces the miraculous. That in order to be divine or emulate the divine, to be a creator, you have to be divine. You have to be expanded. You have to be invincible. You have to be unlimited. And when you bring up that emotion, you are signaling genes in new ways. So then this workshop this weekend is to give you some of the tools to do that. You with me? Poke the person next to you, please. So you geniuses still? Now, every time you have a thought, you make a chemical. And if you have a great thought, or an unlimited thought, or a joyful thought, you turn on a set of circuits in your brain that fires in a very specific sequence, pattern, or combination that produces a level of mind that makes a chemical for you to begin to feel exactly the way you were just thinking, great or unlimited or joyful. Now, if you have a negative thought, or an unhappy thought, or a guilty thought, you turn on a different set of circuits in your brain, and a different sequence, pattern, and combination that creates a different level of mind that signals the brain to make a chemical to match the exact thought you were thinking for you to feel exactly the way you were just thinking, negative or unhappy or guilty. Now, the moment you begin to feel the way you think, because the brain is constantly monitoring the body, you begin to think the way you feel, which makes more chemicals for you to feel the way you think, and then you think the way you feel, and then you feel the way you think, and you think the way you feel, and then you feel the way you think, and then you think the way you feel. And you do this for years on end. And the cycle of thinking and feeling and thinking over time creates what I call a state of being. Now, a state of being is when your mind and body are working together, when your thoughts and feelings are aligned to a destiny. Now, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. You with me? So would you agree then, if you thought an insecure thought, that in a matter of seconds you would begin to feel insecure? Yes? And the moment you begin to feel insecure, isn't it going to drive more insecure thoughts? Which is going to cause you to feel more insecure, and then you're going to think more insecure thoughts, then you're going to feel more insecure. And then you're going to say over time, I am insecure. And whenever you say, I am anything, you're commanding your mind and body towards a destiny. Now, the redundancy of this cycle of thinking and feeling and thinking over time conditions the body to memorize that state as well as the conscious mind. And whenever the body knows as well as the mind, that's called a habit. A habit is when your body is the mind. Now, 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, and attitudes that function just like a computer program. You subconsciously become the mind of that state. How many people are with me? 95%. So now it's going to come time to change, and you're going to use 5% of your conscious mind to think positively while you've been running the cycle of negativity for the last 35 years. And then you're going to create your dream board, with your hairstyle and your SUV and your fingernails and the big house behind you and a kid in the back with a perfect smile in the car seat. But you're going to feel unworthy. That's mind and body in opposition. You see, we have to recondition the body to a new mind. And that's where greatness comes in. So then, if you keep thinking and feeling and thinking in the same way over time, just like any program, the body will know how to do it better than your conscious mind. And when the body becomes the mind, now you're in a habit. And a habit is an unconscious, automatic set of thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that is acquired through frequent repetition. So then, you can't consciously remember your PIN number because you had 3 glasses of wine downtown in Austin. but then you walk over, you look at the keyboard, you can't consciously remember the number, but then all of a sudden your fingers press the number. How did that happen? You practiced it so many times that your body knew better than your brain. And that's where most of our personality exists. Now, how do we get this way? Feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences. And you can remember experiences better because you can remember how they feel. Now, when you're in the midst of an experience, everything you're seeing and smelling and tasting and feeling and hearing, all of your 5 senses plug you into the environment. And as you're in the midst of that event, all of this data is rushing back to your brain through those 5 different sensory pathways. The moment that information reaches your brain, it causes jungles of neurons to begin to organize themselves into networks. The moment those neurons string into place, the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. How many people are with me? Now, because emotions tend to last longer, long-term memories, you can remember your first kiss. You can remember graduating from high school. You can remember a promotion, your wedding day, being proposed to, the birth of your children. You can remember going on vacation and catching a fish off the coast of Mexico and eating it with your friends and drinking great wine and feeling the breeze and seeing the sunset. But the problem is you can't remember what you had for dinner the night before, right? Because routine lulls the brain to sleep. And most Americans can tell you exactly where they were on 9/11. They could tell you who they were with, what time of day it was, and what they were doing. Because everything that you were seeing and hearing changed your internal state. And the moment you felt differently inside of you, you woke up and you paid attention to what caused it outside of you. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. So then think about this. You're geniuses, right? So if feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences, and you're feeling the same way every single day, what does that mean? Nothing new is happening in your life? Yes? Now, if feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences, and you can't think greater than how you feel, or feelings have become the means of thinking, are you thinking in the future or are you thinking in the past? And as long as you told me that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, as long as you're thinking equal to how you feel and you're thinking in the past, you keep creating more of the quantum model of reality is still working for you. Now, your body is your unconscious mind. And it does not know the difference between an actual experience in your life that creates an emotion and an emotion that you can fabricate by thought alone. To the body, it's exactly the same. So if you're thinking and feeling in this loop for years on end, your body as the unconscious mind is believing it's in the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The body literally believes it's in the past. And if you condition the body to be the mind of that emotion, then the body literally is in the past. And you can't create a new future while your body's living in the past. How many people understand? So now, when we react to something or someone in our life, the chemical change that's created in the body is called a refractory period in science. So you react to someone or something, and all of a sudden you feel different chemically, and you don't know how to control your emotional reaction to that event, and those emotions last for hours or days. You know what that's called? That's called a mood. What's wrong with you? Oh, I thought you'd never ask. I'm in a mood. Really? Why? What happened? Well, this thing happened to me 5 days ago. And I'm having one long emotional reaction. Now, if you have the same refractory period going on for weeks or months, that's called a temperament. What's wrong with him? I don't know. He just has an angry temperament. Why are you so angry? Well, this event happened to me 10 months ago, and I'm living by one long emotional reaction. I'm memorizing my emotion. And if you keep that same refractory period going on for years on end, that's called a personality trait. And people wear their emotions layer by layer, and they believe that's who they are. That is not who they are. So then, would you agree with me then that in order to change your personality, you would have to look at the emotions that you've memorized that's become part of your identity? Yes? Now, did you hear me say, go back and look at the event and analyze the event? No, it has nothing to do with the event. When you free yourself from those emotions, then that's when you begin to liberate energy, because the body is no longer enslaved to the past. You with me? So then, you're a wonderful wife, you have a great life, you're living the dream, and all of a sudden, your husband comes home and he announces to you that he's moving to Buenos Aires with his 2 secretaries. And you're raising your children, and you got the whole dream going, and you're angry, and you're frustrated, and you're jealous, and you're envious, and you're sad, and you're going through all these emotions, and you know, you don't know this, but every time you think about the experience, you produce the same chemistry in your brain and body as if the event was happening. So your body's re-experiencing the event 50 to 100 times in the day, and you're conditioning the body into the mind of the past. And then you call up your mother and you tell her, and then you tell your family, and then you keep talking about it, and you keep running the chemicals and firing and wiring the circuits in your brain, and it turns into a mood, and it turns into a temperament. It goes on for years on end, and becomes part of your personality. You're just that bitter, angry person. And so someone approaches you 20 years later and they say, why are you so angry? And you say, well, I am this way because of this event that happened to me 20 years ago. From a biological standpoint, what that really means is, I haven't changed in the last 20 years, and this event knocked me out of balance. And this emotion now defines me from that experience of the past. I haven't changed in the last 20 years. You with me? So another woman, she's living the dream, and her husband comes home and he announces that he's moving to Barcelona with his 2 secretaries and the IT guy. And now this woman goes through the same emotions. She's angry, she's frustrated, she's jealous, she's envious, she's bitter, she's hateful, she's judgmental, she's sad. And this goes on for a while. And all of a sudden, she starts to look at how she's feeling, and she says, God, living by these emotions isn't loving to me. And all of a sudden, she grabs the book on unconditional love, and she reads it, and she gets the companion CDs. She listens to those, and she comes to the Unity Church, listens to Reverend Steve, and she's wiring all this information in her brain, and now she's weighing the old beliefs against the new concepts, and now she goes to the dark night of the soul, and she realizes that all the answers have to come from within her. And in a moment, after weeks of learning this information, knocking on the door of possibility, it finally becomes visceral. And she says, oh my God, if I loved myself and I loved my ex-husband, I would free him and wish him the best. And she lets go. She shortens the refractory period of her emotional reactions. That's called emotional intelligence. And she gets on with her life, and she raises those kids by herself. She takes them to the baseball games and the soccer games and the ballet. She works during the day. She goes to school at night. She's up early in the morning taking her kids